Testosterone, testosterone. And it's likely that now that you know you're in perimenopause, you're in postmenopause, that you're considering hormone therapy, and I need testosterone. I've read books, I've listened to podcasts, I've heard Hailey Berry speak about it. I need testosterone, I need testosterone. Could be that you need testosterone. Could be that you possibly even need a testosterone gel or other medication. And it could be that your low testosterone is simply because of your lifestyle and that you do not need a special additional gel or lotion or whatever. And why is that? Why is that? This, what I'm sharing, is not only applicable to women, it's also applicable to men, but it's still applicable to both of us. Low testosterone has many causes. Many causes. Drink a glass of orange juice and your testosterone levels will decrease. Have children, and if you're a man, and your testosterone will decrease. If you're a good dad, if you're a loving, caring dad, then your testosterone will decrease. If you just don't care and don't even know that you have children, then it might not have an effect. But if you do, your testosterone will decrease. And that's a natural thing. It just happens. Our testosterone isn't always high, and it doesn't always need to be high. Yet, testosterone therapy is receiving attention, both for men and for women. But as much as I've heard about how to supplement with testosterone, why it might be beneficial, why it might be even important, I have heard very little, close to nothing, about what we can do with lifestyle choices in order to boost our testosterone. Yes, ladies, lifestyle choices and decisions. We have the key. We do not have the key to increase our estrogen. We do not have the key to increase our progesterone production unless, no, we cannot increase the progesterone production, but we can supplement it, gladly thanks to hormone therapy. We can also do that with testosterone, yet we have the key to unlock our testosterone factories with regards to our lifestyle. Easy. You do not even need to spend money on expensive supplements for testosterone. And this, what I'm sharing, is relevant for us ladies and, again, for the men. Do you like to go for long walks, long bike rides, or when you go to the gym, are you on the Stairmaster? Maybe not Stairmaster, but are you on the bike? Are you on the running machine? Are you on the treadmill? Do you do endurance training? Do you do cardio, like again and again and again and a lot? Or are you a runner? Do you go running once, twice, 3 times a week? If you are, you got it, 1 + 1. If you are, your testosterone levels will be low. Yes. High intensity, no, sorry. Long duration and low to moderate intensity will lower your testosterone. That's just a fact. Contrary, if you do hard training, high intensity training, really lifting weights, really powerful exercise which stimulates, really like triggers, hits your muscles and hits your bones, that on the other hand will raise the levels of your testosterone. Asterisk, that will only happen if you take enough rest after the strenuous exercise. So thinking, okay, now I've got to work my muscles, I've got to work my muscles. I've heard that muscles is so good for health, especially perimenopause. I do that every day. If you're really hard on your body and not giving your body enough rest, then it has many effects, but it has an effect too that it can lower your testosterone. So really hit the gym, hit it hard, and have a very hard rest. That will raise naturally your testosterone levels. Isn't that the fun thing? And with that, you do so much good for your body and your health too. Additionally, This is specifically interesting for us ladies, but it also concerns men or affects men. I've mentioned in other episodes that as we are in perimenopause and beyond, we naturally, listen to the other episodes on why that's the case, we naturally develop insulin insensitivity, possibly even insulin resistance, possibly even diabetes type 2. Even if we eat the same foods as we did pre-perimenopause, there is studies that glucose spikes in perimenopause and beyond are 42% higher eating the same food now that we're in perimenopause than before. Isn't that something? Like, you think you're eating healthily, and possibly you do, but now your body is much more insulin insensitive. It cannot store the glucose away good enough into our muscles where it's then stored as glycogen, or even into our fat cells. It stays relatively high in our blood sugar, in our blood, and that's not good. If it would be stored in our fat cells, it might not be the best depending where it's stored, but at least that's energy we can use. But the glucose, the insulin, the high insulin levels in our blood, it's not good. And insulin resistance can lower testosterone. Isn't that something? So if you notice you have an insulin insensitivity, which you likely have, your testosterone levels will be lower. Interestingly, if you have, let's say, testosterone therapy, that will have an effect on your insulin. You will develop more insulin sensitivity. But that's not said start with testosterone therapy to lower your insulin. Rather go the other way around, because that's so much more sustainable and healthy. The other way around too, lowering your insulin insensitivity, getting back to be insulin sensitive, that will raise your testosterone levels. It's like, this is like yin yang, really. The insulin and testosterone, in a way, they're really balancing each other out. They're nourishing one another. If you have too high insulin, your testosterone will be low. If you have low insulin, on the other hand, your testosterone will be high. It's gorgeous. It's really gorgeous. Interestingly, and this is where it might be a little like, spaghetti loop in your head. Interestingly, insulin can boost testosterone production. And now you might be thinking, what? How's that possible? Didn't she just say like insulin insensitivity lowers testosterone? And isn't insulin insensitivity having lots of insulin in the system? So how can that raise testosterone? I'm confused. And it's easy to be confused. But insulin insensitivity means that we have lots of insulin in our system without the cells, the receptors in our system, receiving insulin's message. So there's lots of insulin and it's thinking, oh, I need to send more messages. So there's more messages, but we're numb. We do not receive the messages. So that high level of insulin will not, unfortunately not, increase testosterone production, because they just don't hear it. They don't hear, insulin is here. Really? Really? I don't get it. So that is the vicious cycle. However, if you are insulin sensitive, if you're back into a good insulin balance, insulin, glucose, testosterone balance, if you are insulin sensitive, your body hears, oh, insulin is here. Insulin is telling us something. Yes, insulin. Raise testosterone production? Yes, we do that. Sure. Thank you. Thanks. Bye-bye. So then when the message is heard, even with relatively low compared to insulin resistance levels, even with relative insulin levels, bing, testosterone production starts to fire. So that's also really beneficial. That's how insulin can boost testosterone production, but only if we're not insulin insensitive or not insulin resistant, not even speaking about diabetes type 2. So, but that could be another cause, another reason for you to really lower your insulin levels in your blood so that you can go back to a more healthy level of testosterone and possibly other androgens within your system. because we do need them. We do need them. It's not, I mean, they're not dropping suddenly like estrogen and progesterone do, but still they're declining as we grow older and age. So it's good to keep the factories running. It's good to be able to receive the messages that we can continue producing these hormones. On the other hand, and in addition to that, as insulin has an effect on our production of testosterone, higher testosterone can have an effect on our blood sugar levels. So a higher level of testosterone can lower our blood sugar levels because it's easier to be absorbed in the muscles and stored away as energy. But again, as I mentioned earlier, I really do not recommend taking the path to take and supplement testosterone to lower your insulin and to lower your blood glucose. It might help, yes, it very likely will help, but it's more like a sugar coating on a moldy cupcake. Do you want to eat that? No, rather have a fresh, juicy, yummy cupcake and let that dip into the testosterone frosting. I mean, it's kind of weird picture, but maybe it helps to understand. If you raise your testosterone artificially, it has a positive effect on blood glucose and insulin, but the underlying cause why blood glucose and insulin are not really healthy, that's just covered up. It's not addressed. Whereas if you address the underlying cause of why is your blood glucose high, why is your insulin high, why is your system not able to receive insulin's message, why are you insensitive to receiving these messages, if you address these, then naturally your testosterone level will rise. And that's a much more sustainable and definitely a much healthier way. Possibly, I don't know. Did not look for research on that, but I also don't. I would be surprised if there is, but I'm happy to be surprised. Possibly even raising your testosterone without addressing the underlying cause of high blood sugar and high insulin can even cover up a system health condition, a metabolic condition, which in the long term will develop very, very unhealthily. Because you notice when you have high blood sugar, you notice when you have high insulin, and you notice those effects. They can be monitored, they can be addressed. But if you're artificially lowering these factors without healing and addressing the underlying cause, it could be that you're covering up metabolic health conditions, and then later on, boom, suddenly, hello, we're here. Hello, we're here. And oh, you did not notice? Sorry about that. We're gonna stay. So that could happen, and I don't think that's a good thing to happen. There's another thing which is interesting with regard to insulin and testosterone. Testosterone also is recommended sometimes for us ladies to be more capable of building our muscles, which is not only important for the muscles and for blood glucose and for metabolic health and bone health. Having muscles, I really wish I had known that when I was so much younger. Everybody said, "Ooh, you should exercise," but I did not really understand why, except for cardio health, except for, yeah, maybe mood, because you get endorphins. I don't know when I ever exercised and got endorphins. I don't know. I'm not exercising for the endorphins, trust me. Maybe my endorphins are very quiet. But now knowing how important exercise, high intensity exercise, really lifting weights is, I wish I'd started with that so much earlier, because I'm sure that many of the horrid symptoms which I've crashed into would not even have appeared. But nevertheless, coming back, for many of us perimenopausal and postmenopausal ladies, there's the conversation that, ooh, testosterone, you need testosterone because with testosterone you can grow your muscles. Yes, that's true. But again, as I mentioned in the many minutes before, do not raise your testosterone without addressing the underlying cause. Rather go the other way, which will naturally, easily, and more cheaply address testosterone levels and raise testosterone levels. If you have low testosterone, if you have high insulin, it's very likely that you are not capable of building and growing your muscles. And I know that's the case for me. I'm not specifically sure about my testosterone level, but it could be that my testosterone was a little low, but I don't really think it was exceptionally low. But I knew that, or I know that I've been training now for a year and 2 months, and I've been going 3 times at least and did heavy lifting, heavy weight exercise. And even when I did cardio, I included like really strenuous muscle and body weight exercises. So it was never that I was an hour or 2 on the treadmill running. No, I always incorporated, even while cardio, interval trainings, high intensity elements. And yet, a year and 2 months, 3 times and more of exercising, plus Qigong, plus Tai Chi, plus going for walks, plus bike riding, plus dancing, plus lots of activity, my muscles, they did not really grow. I mean, they did not shrink, and I could see that they're much more defined, and definitely I feel how much stronger I've become. I mean, they might look the same, but they're not the same. They're not the same. I'm so strong. At least for my size, for my build, for what I knew I had been capable before and what I'm capable now, I'm really strong. I'm really strong. Yet my muscles, they're tiny. They're tiny. They kind of look the same like a year and 2 months ago. And that to me is another indicator that my insulin levels have been too high. I mean, I have identified that I have a definite insulin insensitivity because I noticed that in my blood glucose. I noticed that with my keto production or not keto production. I noticed that with cognitive, mental, emotional stressors. I noticed that how I could cope with stress. I noticed that with my sleep. I noticed again and again now looking back, it was just, hello, we're insulin insensitive, insulin insensitive. When are you getting the message? I wasn't getting the message. And all the foods, even though I thought they were healthy, the way I ate them, when I ate them, how I ate them, it was not helpful to reduce insulin insensitivity and become insulin sensitive again. So I know that this year and 2 months where I'd been really doing my best. I mean, thank God I did, because I cannot even imagine how I would have continued on my downward spiral progression with the high insulin and other factors had I not counteracted with heavy weights and high intensity training and saunas and cold plunges. I do not even want to picture that. But as much as I did, the result in muscle growth, pretty timid, like pretty timid. And that can be because high insulin, low testosterone, low muscle growth, and also high insulin, low muscle growth. It's on that case, they're really the same, like low testosterone, high insulin, you're not gonna grow muscles. You're not gonna grow muscles. You can go crazy in the gym, you can overtrain, you're not gonna grow muscles. It's not gonna happen. So that's another reason why watching your insulin insensitivity, getting it back, or at least doing things to become closer to insulin sensitivity and to raise your testosterone levels naturally, that can have a very, very beneficial effect, not only because your arms will look so much nicer, to you at least, but because it will have an effect on our continued health. Because we know skeletal muscles, muscles in general, bone health as we age, they're a core indicator how healthy we age or not, and how we can overcome challenges in older age. So keep your muscles, keep your muscles. They're so important. They're so important. And they will not grow if you have too high insulin or too low testosterone. So that was a little teaser on testosterone. Or not a little teaser. That was information on testosterone, why it matters for us ladies, and why you might not need the external supplement, and actually why it might not be good. But that, speak to your doctors, speak with the experts you trust. And if they say, do take it, of course. And if you take it, I wish that you will also consider addressing the underlying insulin insensitivity issue and the underlying glucose levels in your blood. So then it might become more sustainable, more healthy in the long run. But just addressing the testosterone and dipping it or putting that sugar frosting on a moldy cupcake, not sure that's the best choice, but it's your choice. You can make whatever choice you want. If you found this interesting, if you found other connections, causations, correlations, and impacts which testosterone can be having on our system and which other hormones it might be affecting beyond insulin, and which you found really relevant, please share in the comments. Please share with your friends, share with your family, share with your loved ones, and I'm looking forward to see you next time.